Hey SnowRunner fan, in this video I'm going to share with you 5 of my favorite tips to help you up your game a few notches. Stick around to the end for a bonus tip as well. If you like this video or find it helpful, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Tip number 5, leave breadcrumbs. Now, I don't mean exactly in the way that Hansel and Gretel did, and that ended up getting them in trouble anyway. What I'm talking about is going on longer missions that maybe traverse 2 or even 3 maps. Some of those maps may not have garages for you to recover to if you get into big trouble. So if you're out on one of those missions and you're a map or 2 away and you recover, you go back to the map that you started at, and that can be painful, because then you've got to get all set up again and go all the way back through all those maps. Maps, again, that may or may not have garages and or fuel stations. So what's a SnowRunner to do? Well, the best plan is this. Drag along some maintenance trailers or some fuel trailers and sprinkle them around like breadcrumbs. What I like to do is take them to the tunnels just on the other side into the new map and leave them there. And that way, when I come back through at any point with another truck, I will have an instant garage practically. I mean, I won't be able to change vehicles or things like that, but I will be able to run some maintenance on a vehicle if it needs some fixing, and I will be able to fill it up because there's a giant fuel tanker sitting right there just on the other side of the tunnel. Now you'll notice that I drove a fuel tanker to drag the maintenance, and that was a good plan, because if you'll check my gas now, I'm down to like 88 liters out of like 330, so I do not have enough without that fuel tank to get back without recovery. Alright, tip number 4, talking about gas up. Whenever you get the chance and you see a gas sign, or you see a gas station or a fuel truck or a scout fuel carrier, anything that has gas in it, I don't care if you're down by 10 liters, fuel up. I cannot tell you how many times I've come near the end of a mission, within meters sometimes of finishing, of leaving my cargo, delivering my cargo, and not being able to for the lack of gas. That's right, like meters away, no gas, mission over, not accomplished, over. So if you get the chance and you see gas anywhere, fill up, because you never know when you're going to need those extra few liters. Trust me, it'll happen, and it'll happen often. Because you'll get out, you'll be working around, doing stuff, and the last thing you'll be doing is checking your gas. Next thing you know, boom, you're out of gas. Alright, tip number 3, learn to use the gearing. You see the gearing over here on the right, circled in red. Now, lots of times, staying in auto is perfectly fine. You see, I'm flying along the road here, shifting through 3rd and 4th gear and moving at a fair clip. And that's great. Why not? No problems. But what happens if you are stuck somewhere, like buried in the mud? Auto is not going to help you out of this necessarily. In fact, 90% of the time, auto is not going to help you at all in situations like this. What you're going to have to do is shift it over to low, maybe low minus even, and then softly on the accelerator, feathering the accelerator. Now notice how much we're moving compared to how we were just sitting in place digging ourselves deeper in auto. Now that we're out, we can shift it back to auto and leave the farmer's field, just like that. But low gears are not just for getting out of the mud. What about going downhill on a steep decline like this? Going down in auto, we're going to be going down at a fair clip. Even with our finger playing with the brakes on and off, we're still going to pick up speed at an alarming rate, let's say. Rather put it in low, or maybe even low minus, than go down the hill, still feathering the brakes as needed, and no problems. We're down at a much slower pace than if we'd left it in auto. Now we'll leave it in auto for a minute. We'll take it along here, take it down towards the bottom of the quarry, where I will take one of my favorite shortcuts. And here I'm going to shift it into low plus. I want a little extra acceleration, but I want to be in low for the control and to get over the rocks. I'm going to leave it in low plus as we make our way here towards the last ramp that gets up out of the quarry. And you'll note that trucks with diff lock often will only give you diff lock if you're in the low gears or in reverse. You'll never get the diff lock in auto or high with some gearboxes. So it's really a good idea to learn to use the gearbox. And it is really beneficial. So I'm going to shift down to reverse here, and then back up to low. Because I don't think it'll make it out of here in auto. This hill is a bit too dicey for auto transmissions. Low's the way to go. And you can see it's just pulling itself on up out of here. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that all inclines need to be taken in a low gear. Pardon me. You'll see as I take the last ramp on up out of here, I'm in auto, and I'm going to shift it up into high at the end here. See how much speed we can get up the hill at the end of this. And the truck practically flies out of here. Excellent. That was really good. Good performance. Back down to auto. Alright, tip number 2. Use the manual winch settings. Now you can just punch the winch button and connect to something, but what happens? I'm trying to get a truck back on its wheels here, and yet something seems to be wrong. Oh, that's because the auto winch connected to that stump. Well, the stump doesn't need help, the truck does. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to put the winch on manually. Now when I hit the buttons, I get little white dots all over the truck and elsewhere that tell me where I can winch to. So I'm going to choose one. Unfortunately, it actually seems to be a tree behind the truck, so we'll have to try that again. And hook the winch from the front of the truck, and I'm going to hook it to the front of the BM17. And now we'll pull it. Boom! Mission accomplished. Just like that. Use the manual winch settings. And tip number 1, bring a friend. On longer missions especially, it's always nice to have a little extra gas or a little extra repair units along, and you can do that by dragging along a spare scout, for example, as I'm doing here. Now, if it's not enough that they bring along spare gas and repair units, which this truck cannot do on its own, another bonus is the scout could actually rescue the off-road truck if we have trouble. That's right. So we're humming along and we're heading for the end of a mission, or doing some scouting in a far off map, and we flipped the vehicle. Oh no, we're miles from everywhere. What are we going to do? Well, we have that scout on the back of the trailer. No worries, it's got an autonomous winch. Even if it flipped off at the same time as the truck flipped, it should be able to right itself, start its engine, and then right the truck that was hauling it. Bonus all the way around. Bonus tip, speaking of bonuses, learn the NavSat, the navigational satellite. What I'm talking about is blue markers that you can put on the map. Let's say I choose the town storage, and I want to get there from where I am, and I'm over by the garage. Well, I could just go over to where the town is. I'm highlighting where I am in my truck, but I can go back and highlight the town storage and just click, and now I've got a straight line between the two. That's okay. It sort of gives me an idea of where to go and whatnot, but I'm not a crow, so as the crow flies doesn't really help me. What I need to do here is grab the GPS lines here, the NavSat lines, make new points, and put those points along places, at places along here that'll help me. For example, I know of a bridge here, and so that's like a landmark, so I can put one on the bridge, and that'll help me. Also, I use intersections. When it comes to a T intersection, I want to know which way to go. I put it to the side that I'm going to be going. That way it's like a heads up when I get to that particular NavSat marker. And you'll see what I mean when we exit the map. So we put out our different markers, make the satellite do its job for us. Navigational satellite, the NavSat. Once we've set everything up, put all our markers on, we can keep adding markers. We can also remove markers if we decide to change the direction of where we're going, or we want to plot a different path. You can see I'm just adding points to it now. So once I'm satisfied with the points, I can go back to driving, and now when I do, there are blue navigational satellite markers that I can follow. So I follow the general direction of those, and they'll lead me towards my destination. And it's a little tough to see on the smaller screen here, but over the marker there's also a number. You can see it getting smaller and smaller as I get closer, and boom, that marker's gone, and then the next one shows up with a new number, and it tells me how many meters away that marker is. So now I not only know which way to go for my destination, but approximately how far I have to go. So if you found this video helpful or entertaining, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. And in the meantime, stay safe and take care. And until next time, bye for now.